I've often wondered whether thousands of camellias that I've worked with over the years back home in our family business originated. About 40,000 different cultivars bred from just over 200 different wild species, and they've been bred over hundreds of years, so it's a pretty big topic. By far the most important species is Camellia japonica. So here I am in Japan to try and trace their story. I'm on the volcanic island of Oshima. It's a camellia lover's paradise. So much to see and do. The International Camellia Society has awarded 3 gardens on Oshima with the Garden of Excellence certificates. It indicates where collections of camellias, a minimum of 250 different cultivars, varieties and so on, are well labelled, clear to be seen and enjoyed by the public. There are many other criteria, but those are the basis. Less than 50 gardens in the world had qualified at that time, so this is a very, very great feather in the cap of the islanders. It's well earned and they're well rewarded. It's helping now that they have these certificates to boost the numbers of tourists to the gardens. And indeed, it's helping the whole island in a way. So I feel very proud of them for this achievement. Oshima is the largest and most northerly of the Izu chain of islands in the North Pacific, reached by jet foil boat from Tokyo's ferry port in about an hour and 45 minutes. Oshima itself is about 91 square kilometres in area, with its own volcano, Mount Mihara, near its centre. There is volcanic activity even now on nearly all of the islands, but most of the eruptions and earthquakes occurred in the distant past. Ash from Oshima's own Mount Mihara forms most of the soil on the island. Mount Mihara's major eruptions have been between 200 and 300 years apart, with minor activity about every 35 years. The last was in 1986. Mount Mihara near its centre. Thankfully quiet just now. However, Mount Mihara is highly significant to our story. It's responsible for the soil on the island. With a combination of rough textured lava and fine volcanic ash, it drains freely and is mildly acidic. Combined with high rainfall and warm temperatures in winter, it's all good for camellias. High up on the shoulder of the mountain, there is a black desert, a mostly bare area of fine lava that's gradually being colonized by plants. We first visited it in February and found patches of vegetation showing the sort of early colonization I'm familiar with. Small plants, sedges and grasses, including pampas grass, all developed from seed blown by the wind. And this was winter time, of course. However, we returned in June. Japanese knotweed, that noxious weed in the UK. Tour guide geologist Ai explained that its toughness and perseverance make it a very useful first colonizer on Oshima. It's actually valued here. The mystery of the seed head of the herbaceous plant that I'd failed to identify in winter was solved on a second visit in June, particularly on the exposed lava field. It dies down in winter, its leaves fall and rot, humus forms, and the nutrients from this eventually support the woody plants.
Yes.
All of these here.
Tsubaki がね。
Tsubaki everywhere.
Yes.
Maybe pan. You see where the birds have pecked away petals to reach the nectary at the base. That's pecking by birds. This is so exciting! See? Do you want me to move that stalk? Yeah? I'll open that up, yes. In 1974, a fossil containing camellia leaves was discovered. Yoshihiro Kagi explains.
It is the fossil of camellia leaves, but not the real fossil, but the fossil of the existence. It was discovered after the big earthquake struck this area, is archipelago and is peninsula in 1974, and it was discovered from the crumbled cliff, under the crumbled cliff or beside the sea. And so we cannot determine which layer it was originally was. But we found the earthenwares along with this fossil. So we can suppose it may be 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, though the people in Oshima says it is 10,000 years ago. But the age of earthenware tells us it is not 10,000, but 4,000 or 5,000 years ago.
There are areas of the island which is mostly covered by forest that contain an estimated number of about 3 million Camellia japonica. Tsubaki, if you speak Japanese. It grows wild throughout this area. There are thousands more tsubaki, its varieties, which are natural variations, and cultivars, which are deliberately bred by man, to be seen in gardens all over the island, and even planted as street trees. They provide colour and beauty throughout winter and spring. I have a special affection for Oshima Park and the garden there. It was the first place I visited, and it made a big impression on me. It has a huge amount of information about camellias in the Information Centre / Museum, and in the garden, a large collection of camellia plants grouped together to show varieties, for instance, popular in the tea ceremony. Another area has historic camellias from both Japan and Europe, and another one has American-bred camellias. There is a modern labelling system for the camellias. Note the square QR codes, which allow smartphone users to access information even when the plants are not in flower. We were met on the steps by the current manager. His name is very complicated. I can't pronounce the whole name, but I call him Mr. Naka. However, he had a hat on, which was even more characterful, and it reminded me very much of Jamiroquai, the pop singer. So I'm afraid I've called him Jamiroquai ever since. Oh, look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Wonderful. I think it's exciting.
じゃああれをちょっと間違って使った可能性もある。いや、
Oh, nice smell.
Nice smell.
Nice smell.
港シリーズ。
It's amazing how you can appreciate scent when the air is still. And this is really only possible under glass. This one's got a very sweet scent, very subtle, so you need a little time to appreciate it. Interesting. The parent of this one was found on Goto Islands, and it was found in a forest, and there's only one plant ever been found of it, found by a charcoal burner in Goto forests. And then it spread around the world, and it has bred all these different forms of it. This one's, he says, Tama americana, but it's a big flower here. But that's originally from Goto Islands in Japan. This is another Tama, part of the yeah, Tama, is it Bambino? Bambino. It's probably Tama Bambino. Yeah, but they've shortened it to Tamabino. But it's one of those sports from Tama Naura, which is that.
玉の裏だから玉。その玉ね。
Tama Naura was the one that was found in the forests in Goto.
No.
I found February.
February. Yeah.
No, what I found.
This. This one.
This is Chrysantha. Is it Chrysantha? No, it's not. It's Euphlebia.
咲いてる。
Euphlebia.
つぼみもあるね。
Euphlebia. Okay, I can move my hand. Oh, this is very exciting. I'm very excited. One of the regular occasions on Oshima is the annual Camellia Festival, the Tsubaki Festival, the occasion in January and February going into March when the flowers are at their best and tourists flock to the island to come to see them. The whole thing is based on Oshima Park, and down in the foyer or the plaza, I think they call it. They have stalls where you can buy all sorts of Camellia goods related to Camellia, and you can see very, very efficient exhibits in the actual museum information centre as well. Somehow, sufficient money was found to enable the islanders to plant a large area of tsubaki to produce seeds in order to process it to make oil to sell to the mainland. It became an annual celebration. Nowadays, the trees have grown so tall and the canopy so overcrowded that fewer and fewer flowers and therefore seeds are produced. Also, people are not so willing to scrabble about in the leaf litter searching for fallen seeds. So, the forest has now become popular for recreation. People can have picnics and enjoy the scenery and not worry about the harvest of the camellia fruit. They did keep a couple of trees for me to see them harvesting at the Oshima High School plantation, and I was able to watch some of the boys and girls harvesting the last of the capsules and their precious seeds, from which they would later extract the oil. They were using long-handled pruners, climbing the trees and so on. It was a very joyous occasion. 5 camellia oil factories on the island. We visited 3 of them. First of all, the traditional oil factory, and this is owned by Mr. Yoshito Takata, and he still uses the equipment his family has been using for about 100 years. It's a laborious and noisy process. Mr. Hihara's tsubaki oil factory is the most modern on Oshima, producing the highest quality camellia oil. He started the business in 2000 after he'd visited the island on a sailing trip and fell in love with the island. He felt that it would provide employment. The oil is then filtered. The test tubes indicate the increasing purity of the oil from 1 to 4. The top quality is now sold to discerning customers in Paris. Up at Mr. Hihara's nursery, the company is growing a selection of varieties of tsubaki that it is hoped and expected some of them will produce very heavy crops of seeds for future oil production. Yes, she said, oh, isn't that beautiful? Is that motomachi?
Yeah, they had old camellia woods here.
Yes.
It's all gone.
All gone, yes. Oh, yes. Card there.
My grandfather visited here in Oshima.
Oh, right.
First 19.
So he doesn't come from Oshima.
No, he lived. He was from Hiroshima, which is
yes.
other place.
Yes.
He came here,
Right.
and he found very beautiful flowers, camellia, and also ladies, very nice, smooth hair.
Yes.
And he found out that camellia oil does that. He bought camellia oil from people in Oshima and then sell to outside Oshima. And then this island will be increase income and people get happy.
Yes.
That's his thought. That he established
So
Milano
he-
Expo.
Oh, yes.
And then the Japanese restaurant used our tempura oil.
Excellent.
Because Milano, Italia,
Yes.
is olive oil, right?
Oh, yes.
From Japan, have to be camellia oil, right?
So, I think so anyway.
So we start from this area. Do you see this at England?
Yeah.
This squirrel eat this.
Squirrel, yes.
Yeah, the same.
Yes, I think. Are they? Do you shoot the squirrels?
No.
No. You just
let them go.
let them do the damage.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
We plant maybe more than
Plant-
5-10 years
Yes.
to make a whole
Of
area.
course, of course.
We want to make the old Oshima's field, which is many tsubaki flower,
Yes.
camellia woods
Yes.
and other woods.
Yes.
And people get together here.
Yeah.
I want to make a meeting place.
Okay.
Not just camellia for seeds.
No.
The people get together. Old people.
A community
young,
place.
Yeah, camellia mountain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tourist.
Tourists also. And
The Oshima High School is one of those that has been awarded an International Camellia Garden of Excellence. It's not a conventional ornamental garden in the sense that we understand it. It's more like an orchard, but it has about 1,000 well-maintained, well-labelled plants, and it includes about 300 different varieties and cultivars. So that is one of the main qualifications for gardens of excellence. Sheep from the school farm are used as part-time grass mowers in the garden. They're so famous that they even appear as screensavers on the computers in the school's computer lab.
3、4センチぐらいの芽を取ってですね、でこの芽ね、この芽がついてる。こっち側の端っこを決めちゃいな、ここにグッてやつね、そう。でそれで左手で押さえておく。そうすれば、そうグッて引っ張っていい。そう引っ張りながら巻いていく。そうで1回2回巻いて固定してる。そしたらばこの断面のところにもあんまり押すと倒れないよね。ここには刺激しないようにしながら、
Most impressive was watching a party of tourists arrive. Mr. Kaneko, who's the leader of the agricultural course, introduced the students and, of course, the garden. And this was an opportunity for individual students to demonstrate their knowledge of some of their favourite plants in the collection. They were able to spread their enthusiasm and also tell the public a little bit about some of the genetics in one case, which I thought was extremely impressive.
こちらの椿は牧飯といって、オシベが弁花といって先っぽが花びらのように変化することを弁花というんですけど、これは弁花している椿で、その赤い花びらの中にその白いオシベが弁花しているのがその空に浮かんでいる月のように見えることから月の光と書いて学光っていう意味を持っている椿でとても綺麗なんですよ。そうですね。こちらの椿は赤型といって、他の椿と比べてすごい体も葉っぱも花も大きいと思うんですけど、なぜこんなに大きいのかというと、この3倍体って言いまして、染色体の数が普通は2本とか4本なんですけど、これは何かの間違いで3本になっちゃって、それで原数分裂ができなくてこんなに体が大きくなってしまったんですけど、その染色体が3本なのでその実がつかない結実性っていうんですけど、非常に低くて種がほとんど取れないんですよ。でこちらの、赤子型から赤子型の花にフっていうウイルスが入ったものがこちらの大虹というものになります。でウイルス入るとこういうふうに花びらに白い模様が入るんですけど、ウイルスっていうとちょっと悪いイメージを持たれるかもしれないんですけど、このウイルスが入っても生育には問題ありません。
すごい。綺麗に撮ってるね。I'm getting quicker now. I'm getting.
できました。
行かなくてうちでよかったね。
本当よかった。素晴らしい。
I watched my bread and breakfast host from the Pension Subaru, Mrs. Shimoda, collecting petals. She makes the most delicious camellia jam, and I enjoy her bread rolls lavishly spread with it at breakfast, or on ice cream. And we also have a taste of delicious crunchy camellia flowers cooked in batter. We watched Mrs. Hiroko Kaneko dyeing a white silk scarf pink using petals from red camellia flowers.
重い。いい？
はい、どうぞ。
ほら。すごいでしょ。ほら、こんなに綺麗な染め液ができました。可愛いピンクになりますね。ママはピンクの縦の方がいいかな。ではここにピンク、椿の花。うわー、綺麗。綺麗でしょ、ほら。はい。これでこうしてギュッと絞ります。ここにね、取ってはい。きれい。ほら。綺麗でしょ。
綺麗ですね。
ね、上手にやってくださいね。にも今作りましたって感じ。はい、こっち。OK。
はい、いいですね。椿のね、これが椿の油の灰。わかります？
椿油を絞りますよね、その殻が取れますよ。その油の灰と椿の木灰を、品物によってね作ってる。
Camellia seeds?
Yes.
これが
This is lava.
溶岩。
lava.
And
これです。
どっちですか？火山灰は。
見本がね。
ボルカニックアッシ
Yes.
粘土と合わせるわけですよ。
We visited Mr. Fuji's workshop and watched as he carved a wooden figure from camellia wood gathered from the forest. We then admired his wonderful collection of larger figures already finished, each with its own facial expression. I loved the one of his mother, lined-faced, stooped body, and with a stick. A very interesting and rather sentimental image, I thought. Just as we were leaving his workshop, he decided to show us an old family scroll, quite a valuable family heirloom, I would imagine. It's showing scenes from the past life on Oshima, very touching and rather romantic. We were very grateful and sad to say goodbye to him. Really enjoy visiting the tsubaki Hana garden. It's owned by Mr. Yamashita, who has created this really brilliant garden. He's a clever human being, a human dynamo, and an inspiration to all. The garden is 17 acres in area, and he created it and now maintains it almost single-handedly. He created it actually about 30 years ago, and everything is looking lush and beautiful. His main collections are of camellias and hydrangeas, both of which can be found wild on the island. What he's done, what he's concentrating on, is selecting variations or varieties of camellias which are extra early to bloom or have additional interest in some way. He brings them back and propagates them, grows them on, and then assesses them to see whether they've got commercial potential. He's made some selections and even named a few.
はい、優秀椿園のここで現地審査を2年前の今日来てくれた雨の日でした。
My friend.
ね、実は花じゃなくて葉を歌ってるんですよ。葉はとても重要ですので、椿の苗があっち行ったりこっち行ったりしますね。国を渡り合いに行ってます。そしてこれ構造上の鳥に起因した名前と言われておる。後でありますけど、木の花の種からできたものじゃないといけないという決まりもあります。いろいろあるんですよ。あちらはですね、香りがする椿の系統でございます。これはですね、沖縄県でですね、ルチェエンシュっていうですね、小さい香りがする椿が見つかったんです。それを花粉にした親として、ああいう香り椿がたくさん今できております。
TD Whipper.
Pink form of Bokuhan.
Bokuhan to TD Whipper.
TD Whipper.
TD Whipper.
But this is pink form Bokuhan.
Sorry,
Yeah. Bokuhan red.
山下さんが
He's
そうそう
created.
あ
Yeah.
He's hybrid.
You bred this.
Yes.
Ah.
Bokuhan and TD Whipper.
Oh right.
Hybrid.
Clever. That's very good.
これすごくいいわ。
But you have what the public want at the moment is small flowers, many flowers, neat habit.
これも枝で持ってる。
Mr. Yamashita is a master pruner and he maintains his bushes all over the garden by pruning. He considers the natural habit, which I think is really good. And in this case, he's pruning one of his very early blooming varieties. Immediately after they finish flowering, the idea is to get early growth next spring.
日本的な剪定かもわかりませんけども、こういうふうにすると日本では病気だとか虫の被害を防ぐことができる。もう一日に1本しかできない。これとてもね丁寧にここでは私のところはやってます。はい。
And you prune now, early, straight after flowering.
ああ、いやこれはとっても早く咲く椿です。ここでは9月の半ば頃咲くんです。これをもっと遅い時期にすると遅く咲くようになっちゃいます。だからこの木についてはもう今やる必要がある。とても早く。
This is the famous bush, which was
Kobayashi.
Very early.
So.
Yes. Yes, I know. He selected it from the wild, I think.
そう。
But this is the famous bush that everybody is excited about because it flowers so very early. And he was clever because he found it. Visitors may notice, dotted around the garden, circular pits surrounded by tidy branches to keep them neat. I wonder what those are. This is actually one of Mr. Yamashita's own inventions. His thinking process is that if you bring nourishment directly to the camellias, it's a benefit. At the same time, it helps to keep the gardens tidy because the soil around these areas is regularly swept clear of fallen flowers and leaves and put into these unique pits. They rot down and release nutrients, which are able to be fed directly by nature close to the roots of the camellias. This brings the nourishment, as it were, directly, sort of self-serve.
ちょっとじゃあ行ってきますね。Sorry.
Good. See you. Bye. Oh, look, we have a beautiful. Look at this one. Yeah, Moshio. In order to get blooms as early as possibly August, which is ridiculous for spring flowering camellias as we know them, he has imported some pollen from Camellia changii, or Camellia azalea, which is its other name. This flowers all the year round. Actually, it flowers in fits and starts throughout the year, but it does have blooming period in July, August. And if he crosses this with pollen from one of his existing early flowering varieties, he's hoping that he will get flowers in August. We watched as he demonstrated his pollination techniques to a group of high school students. They came to see how he creates a new variety from two different sources, and we watched as he conveyed the pollen from the envelope of pollen he got by the post. Yes. Yes.
直接つけちゃうとって。はい、つきました。はい。はい、OK。雨が 当たらないよね。これをこれは雨が当たらない。これはね、雨水が当たらないよ。カメリアチャンギ。
Changi. You're using Changi on there.
Changi. Camellia Changi.
Changi on there. So that could, you are aiming to get flowers all year round. Yes.
わりかし早く咲くアーリーブルーミングタイム。
Okay. So you're selecting early blooming, and then you're putting Camellia azalea.
夏咲く花を作りたい。
He wanted to have flowers which bloom in summer.
Yes, all year round. Yes. So good to see you. It's great to be. Thank you for having me. I am so pleased to be back because I want to see how your pollination of the flower that you did in the spring, has it turned to seeds? That's what we want to see. Will you take me to show me? Okay. Okay. That one there? Okay.
Good.
Oh, I remember this bush. Yes. It's been good. So the result of your pollination in the spring is this fruit, inside which there should be seeds, which are hybrids between Camellia Changi, the rare one, and this bush. And you are hoping that you actually get seeds which will give you plants that in about 10 years' time will flower in August. Yes, that's the exciting thing. So that is many, many months earlier than most of the japonicas, the tsubaki.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I'm still not absolutely sure how camellias arrived on Oshima, but I've learnt an awful lot about how they're grown and used here, how the tsubaki heritage is being preserved and carried on into the future.